What's good, and today we will be destroying most, if not all, arguments God of War down players use and will use in the future. I'll also be scaling God of War to high Outerversal with a very simple and straightforward argument in this video. By the way, I'll be giving some logically following arguments so that you can use this video and send it to the God of War down players themselves. So stay tuned for that, because for now we will start addressing the novel Anti-Feats. So basically, there's this Imgur album that goes around, and you've probably seen it. Basically, it is called Kratos Overrated, and the fattest, most triple, quadruple chin cheese drinking redditors use this to make a point. So the very first scan shows that Kratos would die from a high fall. This is a novel scan that doesn't matter because it's contradicted by feats like him at the start of God of War 2 jumping off from a higher place and then a badass superhero landing. And this is literally nerfed Kratos. The opening act of the narrative is that Kratos is literally drained and put all his power into the Blade of Olympus. Even Gaia blatantly says that he's mortal after being sapped by the Blade of Olympus. You don't even have to read the novel to know that the chapter numbers are literally right there. This is the beginning of this story, where he was sapped into mortality and is fighting common enemies. The only way people think these scans are legit is if you aren't aware of God of War's story at all and know absolutely nothing about it. And I won't waste too much time on that Tumblr album. I'll put the entire debunk down in the description in the form of a Google document. I just addressed these scans to show you the stupidity and retardation of this album that gets tossed around. Now, for the arguments that God of War is continental or planetary, I also left the document for that in the description. You may be thinking that I'm starting to get lazy and not seeing the arguments in the videos. That's wrong. I just leave you guys the documents so you can also use them in debates and also have, easier access to the scans, or maybe even use them in your own videos. Now, let's get into the juicier debunk that has popped up lately. Basically, it is a Google document that is made by a group on Telegram named the Cosmos Group, which claims to debunk 3 of my videos. Now, this will be an interesting one. Now, as we open this can of worms, we see a fake screenshot of me saying racist remarks in Arabic. And this never happened. That's not even how my name appears on Discord. It literally appears like this. So at least put some effort into a fake scan. So basically what they first argue is that infinite and endless are not synonymous, and they tell me to prove the possibilities are infinite. So let me educate you on what endless and infinite actually mean. The term endless is derived from end, which refers to a limit or boundary. When prefixed with less, it means without end, limit, or boundary. So endless implies a continuation without limit. The term infinite comes from the Latin infinitus, meaning unbounded or without limits. In mathematics and philosophy, infinite refers to something that is not finite, which means it has no bounds, limit, or an end. So, if 2 terms describe the same concept, they are synonymous. Endless possibilities and infinite possibilities both describe a state without limits. Therefore, endless possibilities and infinite possibilities are synonymous, especially in this context. So this argument is just dumb to use, like very dumb. And just to be clear, I had to break down the argument so many times because the ones who wrote this document are illiterate and can't write English. Like, endless future possibilities is a self-evident about the futures that doesn't even sound like a contention. Also, if you know what a possibility is, it means a thing that can or may happen in the future, so it's futuristic in almost every single context you put it in, you absolute homunculus. The next thing they say is, at the next second I want to speak, like this is, I'm quoting this by the way, I know like their English is ass. They say, at the next second that I want to speak, there are an endless possibilities what word I'll use. I could say Warrior Z is and is still considered as part of the future. First of all, I don't disagree with that, but what we are talking about here is modal realism, not something probabilistic in this possible world in which we're living in, which surprisingly you never tried to contend with. And he said that endless possibilities can exist anywhere in fiction. It depends on what you mean and what the context is. If you're talking about modal realism like I was talking about, then no, you're absolutely and utterly wrong. The next thing he shows is a scan from GTA, which is an anecdote from a character which is referring to probabilities in a logically possible world, which has nothing to do with modal realism or my scaling. And looking at the other part of his argument, this doesn't contain anything I said. Timelines are different from logical possibilities and future possibilities, which also debunks his crappy ass conclusion. Moving on to his next argument, this is a blatant strawman. I didn't say it was larger, I was saying that it is an uncountably infinite framework. Next, what he argues is that there are only two categories of infinity, which is false. The way he puts it is generalizing the entire concept of infinity and excluding things like Aristotelian infinity, bad infinity, true infinity, metaphysical infinity, etc. Looking at his argument, it barely refutes anything and strawmans what I meant by infinity and what the game means by infinity. It is highly unlikely that it says anything about zero possibilities and means the same thing as the parallel lines. The context in both situations are completely different. So yeah, this document is just pure comedy. So this part of the document doesn't debunk anything, as it already presupposes a lot of things. That's presupposing the Yggdrasil itself is bound by gravity, and not the dead branches that are no longer part of the Yggdrasil. That is also ignoring that it could narratively have its own gravitational framework, which is really easy to argue in this context. Moving forward, I've already debunked this argument. This is just using DGA Gaming's argument, which I've already refuted, and now you're just repeating his claims. So it's funny how you know nothing about DGA Gaming's arguments or my arguments at the same time. It's comedy, it's hilarious. These people should become a comedy group, not a power scaling group. And this is basically where the document ends. And Cosmic Group, I know you're watching this, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys live in Iran, so you struggle with Discord, which is fine. I have good news for you. I found one website/app which is basically called Matrix. You can download it on your phone, or you can go to that website. It's basically an alternative to Discord in which you can do VC to text or VC to VC, so you have no excuses anymore. I'll post the invite link to the Matrix soon down in the description. It's purely made for the debate. If you duck, then you duck. It's just gonna make you look pathetic and scared. You can also bring both DGA Gaming and Helpformer, but they're also gonna tap dance and run away, like the cowards they are. Now, let's start scaling. It's a very simple, but it's a sharp argument. Just to be clear, this scan comes from a lost media. It's from the God of War Temple of Helios, the browser game. It's been shown on even the God of War wiki, and there has been a Wayback Machine for it, which I can leave in the description as well. So basically, the scan states that the primordials represent quintessential abstractions, which fits into the criteria for Outerversal. Then we have Athena, who is on a higher plane of existence, in which you can argue to be high Outerversal, and as we know, Kratos scales above the primordials into Athena, which easily makes Kratos high Outerversal. So, this is easily a logically following argument with evidence backing it up. By the way, check out this new toss. Now that we're done basically nuking the God of War down players, I think I'll end the video here. And let's see if any of them grow the balls to debate, because I bet you they won't do crap. That's about it. See ya.